Terrorism is the use of violence and intimidation in the search of political aims.
Terrorism comes from the Latin word terro, meaning fear.
Uses murder, kidnapping, hijacking, and bombings to almost always achieve a political purpose.
The main reason for terrorism attacks is to force a change in their nation's government.
Another reason for terrorist attacks is because of hate towards a race, nationality, or religion.
Terrorism is very secretive.
Purposefully disrupting peace and safety.
Terrorists consider a mission successful if hundreds of innocent people are dead on the streets.
Terrorists think they are helping the world be a better place by using violence to increase their religion or better their government.
Many terrorist attacks are planned but failed because of faulty bombs or they are caught before they can harm people. November 7th, 1837. A pro-slavery mob kills Elijah P. Lovejoy, editor of a newspaper called Alton Observer. The newspaper company was linked to the Underground Railroad. When the warehouse of the newspaper was trying to be mobbed, Lovejoy and his supporters tried to defend it. A shootout took place. Lovejoy was not shot, but thrown out the window into a river where he died. He was considered a martyr of the anti-slavery movement.
Hello, I am Elijah P. Lovejoy. I have made the newspaper. I am the head manager. I love my job. It's such an amazing opportunity for me. Everything about it is just so amazing. Help! I've fallen. I can't get up.
April 14th, 1865. Abraham Lincoln assassination. John Wilkes Booth, Lewis Powell, and George Atterdag planned to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln, Vice President Andrew Jackson, and Secretary of State William Seward in Washington, D.C. They wanted to create chaos to overthrow the federal government. Both succeeded in assassinating Lincoln at Ford's Theater. Seward survived multiple stabbings from Powell, as did Powell as he tried to escape. Atterdag failed to murder Johnson. Booth was killed in soldiers when he did not surrender. 8 conspirators were tried and convicted for their roles in the assassinations. Mary Surratt was the first woman to be hanged by the U.S. government because of her role in helping to plan the murders. My drink.
Again, I say, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, we shall bind up the nation's wounds and cherish peace. That government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you. God bless you all.
Mr. Lincoln, I'm just proud of you.
Here, Peanuts. Hold my horse for me, will you?
Yes, sir. Oh, will you be long, sir?
No, not very long. stated, Mr. Lincoln has just stopped the draft.
I would be too if it wasn't for that Colonel servant critter with brass buttons on his coat. Like an old turkey cock, you know. If I meant to asleep. They don't know they're dealing with. I'm as obstinate as Dickens on Warlock. Lie down and couldn't stand up. Wouldn't climb forward, couldn't go backward. Well, I don't know what they're going to do with me. But whatever they do and wherever they put me, I hope to be out of reach of that jackass. I'm a real punk, I am. And I get kind of riley with them. They say I don't know the manners of good society. I guess I know enough to turn that old gal inside out. About the old man. I dare. And keep on leaving.
Seek Semper Tyrannis!
Mr. Lincoln! Mr. Lincoln has been shot!
May 18th, 1927, the Bath School disaster bombings killed 45 people and injured 58. Most of the victims were children in the 2nd to 6th grades, ages 7 to 12 years old, attending the Bath Consolidated School. Their deaths constitute the deadliest act of mass murder in a school in the U.S. history. The perpetrator was school board member Andrew Kehoe.
Today, we are learning about Jesus and how to stick by him with marriage, love. July 19th, 1984. Alon Borg, Jewish talk show host, was shot and killed in his driveway in his home on Capitol Hill, Denver, Colorado, by members of a white nationalist group called The Order. Berg had stridently argued with the man. Get off of me!
On September 11, 2001, attacks carried out by Muslim extremists. The attacks killed nearly 3,000 civilians and were carried out using hijacked commercial airplanes to damage the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, ultimately destroying both 110-story skyscrapers. The Pentagon near Washington, D.C. was also severely damaged. Building 7 of the World Trade Center was also destroyed in the attack. A 4th plane crashed in Pennsylvania before it could reach its target.
Boston Marathon bombings. 2 bombs detonated within seconds of each other near the finish line of Boston Marathon, killing 3 and injuring more than 180 people. Late in the evening of April 18th in Cambridge, Massachusetts, an MIT police officer was shot and killed while sitting in his squad car. Two suspects then carjacked an SUV and fled to nearby Watertown, Massachusetts, a suburb of Boston. A massive police chase ensued, resulting in a shootout during which several IEDs were thrown by the suspects. A Boston Transit police officer was critically wounded, and suspect of Tamerlane Tsarnaev, a Russian immigrant of Chechen ethnicity, was killed. The second suspect, Tsarnaev's younger brother, escaped a shelter-in-place. Order was given in Boston Watertown and the surrounded areas while house-to-house searches were conducted, but the suspect remained at large. Shortly after the search was called off, Tsarnaev was discovered by a local resident hiding inside a boat parked in the resident's driveway less than 3 blocks from the scene of the shootout. He was taken into custody after another exchange of gunfire and taken to nearby Beth Israel for injuries received during his pursuit and capture. Tsarnaev was arraigned on federal terrorism charges from his indicated. The Tsarnaev brothers had no ties to terrorist organizations. A note written by Deskohar Tsarnaev on the boat where he was captured said the bombings were retaliation for U.S. actions in Iraq and Afghanistan against Muslims.
Able to reconstruct it all moment by terrifying moment.
The attack appears timed for maximum impact. Just before 2:50 p.m., this is the viewpoint seen by many of the 26,000 marathon runners who are approaching the finish line. The first of the two explosions rocks the sidewalk along the course. White smoke blasting into the air, blowing metal barricades into the street, spewing shrapnel into crowds gathered at the finish.
We're going to need more ambulance here. We need some more ambulance.
The moment captured from multiple angles, just as the race clock approaches the 4-hour and 10-minute mark. Marathon runner Bill Ifrig is knocked to the ground. 12 seconds later, as many flee the scene,
Just blew up.
a second explosion goes off about 130 yards from the first, less than a block away.
Oh, God, get out of the stands.
It was very loud. The ground shook. You could just feel it going down through you.
As the injured lay on the pavement, blood staining the ground, emergency medical technicians, Boston police, and some 400 National Guardsmen already on hand for the race immediately triaged the wounded. The event's medical tent was transformed into a trauma unit.
I saw one guy with his legs gone at the knees, some ankles and feet missing, shrapnel wounds on people on the sides of the head.
By 3 p.m., just as the president is being briefed on the attacks, reports trickle in of yet another explosion, this time at Boston's JFK Library. It's later deemed unrelated, but in the growing confusion, there are reports of additional devices, and several schools and hospitals are briefly evacuated. Meanwhile, over 130 victims are being transported to 6 area hospitals, and just after 6 p.m., President Obama addresses the country, vowing to find those responsible.
Make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of this. Any responsible individuals, any responsible groups will feel the full weight of justice.
Stand by.
No matter how many times you see it, it is still just as terrifying. I do want to show one photograph as well, speaking to what was not. The hundreds and hundreds of bags waiting for runners who were never able to claim them. Again, a snapshot of innocence and perfection on that Patriots Day, suspended.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoy it. That's it. Bye.